Thank you.
All right.
It's slow. It's slow.
It's that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the hour has arrived for this meeting, and I call it to order. Let's bow our heads, if you will, please, for the invocation. Heavenly Father, let the deliberations that we make and the expressions that we make, the remarks that we make, and the decisions that we make be acceptable in your sight. Amen.
Amen.
Let's stand and pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On a call meeting, the agenda is a predetermined set thing, and it's listed. And the reason for this call meeting is in the last regular meeting of the City Council, a decision was made that it's become observant to the majority of the council and to other people as well in the city that there needs to be some clarification. There may have been perhaps some misunderstanding. And with that, we have called this meeting with that background. Mr. Ramey, I believe you have a motion?
Yes, sir. There was evidently a confusion that was regarding the nature and effect of the motion that was passed in the April 15th, 21 meeting regarding the pay raises for that of the police department. In order to resolve the confusion and to get to its effects, I therefore move to amend the previously adopted motion that was passed at the April 15th meeting affecting the pay raises for the police department, so that it provides that our starting salary and the new hires of police officers shall be $18 an hour at a maximum of $22 an hour, with salaries for current police officers and other departments to be set at the next budgeting time, which will be July.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded, as you've heard. Now we're open for discussion.
All right, I was not real clear on the motion. You're saying to start new hires at 18.
Correct.
22, but the employees who have tenure will not be affected until July 1?
That's correct. That in the budget process, that we'll work with all of this, each of, not only the police department, but with all departments, and working out our entire budget so that we know where the money's coming from.
All right, can I just interject or say one thing to that?
Sure, we're open for discussion. We're glad to hear you.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard. We are paying more than that in overtime now than to increase the salaries. Now, however, understand too, it's our tenured people over there who are worn out, who are exhausted, who, when they found out they were getting an increase in pay, they got more excited. They got another new breath of fresh air. They, it gives them an opportunity to be able to withstand until we can recruit and retain those such peace officers in which we seek. And I'm asking this council to consider this. Just look at your hand. There's multiple departments within the city. Look at your hand. There's 5 fingers on one hand. No matter which one gets nicked, scarred, or broken, or severed, you're going to render aid to that one finger. And I agree, all of our employees do a great job, and they need to be, paid well for the job that they do. But y'all, this is our public safety. I'm trying to just give you an opportunity on what we're really facing here.
Okay, anything else? Anybody else?
The only thing, when I got the call the other day, the other departments, as know with mine, they coming at. Now, if we're doing the police, what about us? I said that the last time, we was at the budgeting thing, that's why I thought this was gonna come off with the budgeting. The police we need to raise our officers. But when we raise them, we got to think about all of them getting raised. And if we
Well,
don't...
But Dwayne, if I may interject and help clarify the situation,
Mhm.
no other department is as short-staffed as we are. And there were unforeseen circumstances that made that department that way.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Dwayne.
Okay, well, I didn't realize that we were gonna raise one department and not all at one time. So I didn't have nothing else to tell them, and when I think right after that, Ms. Bernice contacted me and said that there would have been some concern about the raises, because I think the chief had contacted her. And I said, well, no, I thought this was coming off in a couple of weeks, where everything was going to be done at one time. So I think that's where I got confused. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. But they need an increase, but I don't want us to get ourselves in a problem where we are out of budget, where we go against the, where we sent a balanced budget to the state or whatever, and now we adding money that we ain't got.
But we have the employees that are worn out, that would benefit from the pay increases. I don't understand how we can bring someone in newly into our community and pay them more money than what we're already paying our tenured officers.
Oh, I understand what you're saying about that.
John, I also understand what you're saying, and my heart goes out for the law enforcement. Is one of the toughest jobs that we've got right now. But as far as public safety, you've got another one. It's the fire department. And we can't do without any of these. We need to be able to raise our pay as much as possible for all departments. We need to be fair for each and every department that we've got.
John, let him get through.
He is, you've got the different departments, they have different jobs. I know there's nobody here that has got to carry a gun to their job but the police. But at the same time that they have a critical job, it's one of the departments that we have. And we have to be fair whether we raise X amount or Y amount to each one. But this all is taking effect in the budgeting time when it comes up. And it's not but a couple of months before that takes place. In the budget, that way you've got people who can consider, they can sit down and rationalize how much can be done without bankrupting the city in itself. I'd like to see all departments increased greatly.
I would as well, if I may speak now, I would as well. I wasn't under the impression that the other departments were such in a depressive state as the police department is, due to unforeseen circumstances that were beyond our control or the leadership's control. So I've stated my piece.
Well, there are other departments that are undermanned right now, and in a critical need at the same time. We just have to balance this as the best that we possibly can in each and every department.
What's the time on the budget and how many?
We're working on the budget now. All the department heads have their budget list and they're writing and putting it together now. and it has to be in effect before the end of June. Now, we've got to get the budget, we've got to have several public hearings on it, and it's got to be prepared, so the actual budget, we've really got about 30 days to get it together.
So clarify one more time, I know I asked it a while ago, but I'm gonna ask for further clarification. You're saying that we can recruit, starting, recruitment at $18 an hour?
Or more.
But you're telling me that the tenured officers who are already working there, under the pressure that they're working under, their increase in salaries will begin next fiscal?
John, if you remember, and I'll repeat it now, I mentioned we had an officer sitting back there when this meeting occurred, and this situation was brought up, that I don't want to, an officer that's been here 2 years, 3 years, whatever, 5, 20, for us bringing in recruits and not recognizing that person's position. And I've said that in the meeting. If you'll go back and look at the minutes or look at the film that's available on it, you're welcome to get it. I've said that all along. But you don't, right now, you don't have a recruit. You don't have a new person to put on there. I don't know where you're gonna run ads, or you're gonna get out and pass the word around. I don't know how you're gonna get a recruit, but you don't have one ready now. And another thing, in my mind, what I would say to my friends on the police department, and I think I have several, I would say to you that we're just as concerned, but it's sort of an emergency. The chief right now has found an employee that will help you, so you won't be worked to death, and he wants to bring him in at so much money. But listen, I'll assure you, we're not going to let a newcomer come in, and a person that's got a long history of service with the city, sit here and not take it. So I'm asking you to bear with us in this process to get it worked out legitimately like we should. And that's what I said. If you look at the film, I've begged for this all along, and it's created.
I'm not understanding, but okay, I'll yield back to the floor.
Okay. So that's my answer to you, John, and I'm real sorry. But we're not just one department here with the city of Hazlehurst. We're many departments, and it's created some problems, and we're trying to solve it. And again, with what John said, we're going to ask those that are existing, should the chief find a law enforcement officer that wants to come to work with y'all, and he has to put him in at a scale equal to yours, please bear with us for a little bit, and I will assure you, this group right here wants you to have more money, and we're not going to mistreat you. We're not in that business.
Well, Mr. Mayor, my only thought with the whole thing to start off with was, the police department was in here, they were requesting a raise. Mm-hmm. They were making their request that they needed at that time. Nobody else was in here. I mean, nobody else come in here and asked for a raise. They only did it after the police department was voted to be given one.
And again,
I mean, they never come in here and asked for it to start with. It was afterwards.
You're absolutely right, and when they found out
and when they all found out,
I said, no, that is not, the raise is not being given until the budget. Oh, no. I said, wait a minute, no, what you talking about? And you see, then you get a whole lot of talking, but you got a department that's having to deal with a public that have a terrible job. Y'all understand me? And we got to have public safety. But you got the other departments, we got to control them also, because it take them all to run the city. We're going to, on my half, get the police their money. But y'all, if we raise one, and to keep this talking from the others, and don't try to do something for all of them, you just got a problem. You got a problem. Every man is looking out for himself. And we have to be the main one to say, wait guys, we got to keep this in control. We got to make sure we got the money. Now my next thing, because I've been hearing from citizens.
Well, I agree with that.
My next thing is I heard from the citizens today, and I'm going to tell y'all my heart. The police department is going to be taken care of. But guys, we going to have to figure out how we're going to pay this money. I have a problem if we don't have the money and don't sit down and try to get together, the citizens is gonna have to do it. The taxes, everything, all that's gonna have to be taken in consideration. We got to do it wise. And I'm asking as a commissioner, that the police got a terrible job and that ain't gonna change. I don't care if I give them $90 an hour, that's not gonna change. To work with us, to make sure we get it straight, to give them what they're needed. Because that's my concern when we got to talk about the cars and all that. I said, wait guys, we got to make sure we can pay for this stuff. We got to.
One of the things that concerns me too is the paying for these, things. If it, comes to a point, to be able, we pass this motion as well as to, pass motions later for the other departments. If we over budget ourselves, we've got to be able to come up with that money. If we over budget ourselves, that means we're gonna have to increase something. There's gonna be taxes increased or water bills increased, something's got to pay for it. And
You know, there's
it needs to be considered in the budget.
Wait a minute,
If
John.
it can be considered in that budget, 30 days, and be able to balance it.
Already paying more than that in overtime now. You're paying more than that in overtime now. You know, I don't understand how this can be argumentative or either debatable.
Well, I'm not the smartest boy on the block, but, when you talk about overtime, overtime is a temporary thing that hopefully you get your staff on board and, the overtime stops. A raise is permanent.
Okay, are there other discussions?
Yeah, you know, well, you had said something about the overtime at one time was too high. But
Oh,
then-
it's awful.
Yeah, but then that's the reason.
Well, but here again, officers, I love you to death, and I want you to get this raise, and we will go work on it. But the getting these officers, this current staff, a raise is gonna make them probably feel better, but it ain't gonna cut down the overtime, the shift's gotta be covered. Even the chief is working a shift now to stand at night. That's, more personnel is gonna cut down the amount of people, who's on what shift and how much time you're putting in. And, but I want the raise, I'm not fussing against the raise at all, I'm saying it's gotta be done within a budget process.
Well, for one, I'd be glad to add a couple dollars to my water bill. Now, I don't know about y'all.
Well, another thing you got to understand too now, ladies and gentlemen, the water department is totally separate from everything else.
That's right.
Okay.
It is an enterprise account. The water department has to pay its own way, so if the water department, when they want a raise, the water bill's got to go up. That's the only way they get their raise.
Okay.
When this raise goes in, there's other considerations gotta be made. The water department runs off of what they take in, and if they don't take in enough, they don't have any money. If they want some more raise, they got to get the water bill up. It has to support itself. The police department depends upon other things. Any more discussion? We can discuss this. Any more discussion?
So we got the millage and the, what? Taxes,
She's asking,
the
what was
taxes.
Tax increase primarily. and
Tax
then-
increase.
And also now, remember that, a lot of it, we can't use SPOS for,
You can't use it.
for that type of expenditure, but we can relieve, the department's expenses problems in other areas to maybe make other monies available, which we've worked up. Let me tell you what, this crowd, I'll assure you, is gonna work everything we can to do everything we can to help you. But we're trying our best to do it.
It don't help the folks that's in the foxhole right now that's just burning the midnight oil. That's all I'm saying.
Any further discussion?
I think you had some from the floor.
I didn't see any hand or anything. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My name's Perry Wallace. I'm a part-time employee with the city of Hazelhurst. I just have a quick, I need to go up there.
please,
I'm sorry.
because it will not pick up, and I have to have it for minutes, Brother Andy.
Yes, ma'am, my apologies. Perry Wallace, I'm a part-time employee, with the city. Love the people, love this. I just have one question. If there was so much confusion about this, why did y'all unanimously vote on it to begin with?
Well, you'd have to go back and look at the...
I've watched it several times.
You watched it, well, you didn't see the same thing we're seeing here was said then.
So, but y'all went ahead with the vote and unanimously done it.
But
We understood, I think, that, when they start talking about individual raises,
Yes,
I
sir.
think even the attorney said, we're not taking names or anything in here now.
Right,
We're talking, and I clarified that as well. I said, what we're voting on
yes, sir.
is to set a and here again, they were struggling to employ, they had to find some help, and had to find qualified help.
Yes, sir.
So as I understand it now, I'm not trying to repeat what's on that film, you can go back and look at it. What I understand now is that we are setting the base pay for police officers in the city of Hazlehurst at $18.
Yes, sir.
And we're setting the cap for police officers in the city of Hazlehurst at 22.
Yes.
That's what we're voting on. I didn't say a raise.
But he's I think you're,
I didn't.
Yeah, my question is, my question is,
why
if
did
there
we
was
vote
so much
unanimously?
confusion, why did y'all take a vote?
Because that's what I thought we were voting on.
All right, that's what I was gonna make the statement, that perception is truth for the perceiver, the one that is seeing it. And the problem is that we perceived a couple of different things. By the time that Monday came back around, I was, hearing somebody talk about that they saw it this way, and I said, no, this was what the motion was.
Right.
And so that's what I was,
It just seems to me like how important this business is, that before we took any type of vote, that you would be absolutely clear on what you were voting on.
we should have been more clear.
Period, if there was any question whatsoever. That's just my
Well,
opinion.
if we all make mistakes, maybe, and I make them all the time, and if I make a mistake, I'm sorry.
Right, but
But that's
and
the
this looks bad for the city
Well,
like this too. It looks
I'll take
very-
responsibility for it, don't blame everybody, I'll take it.
everybody.
Okay, yes, sir.
How y'all doing?
No, sir.
We've had better days.
I understand. My name's Martin Ray. I don't know, most of you know, I used to be employed with the city of Hazlehurst as a police officer. I was the first K-9 officer the city ever had.
I can't hear the gentleman.
Pull it up a little bit, there you go.
Martin Ray,
Can't
John.
hear the gentleman.
He's Martin Ray, he says, well, come over here and talk to this mic here, maybe John can. But we want to please everybody, particularly John, come talk to this mic right here, and I think John can hear you well.
I've heard him talk louder than that.
How about that right there? Can you hear me, John?
Yes, sir, thank
Okay.
you.
The city of Hazlehurst has always been behind when it comes to pay to police officers.
Mhm.
When I worked here 12 years ago, 13, 14, 15 years ago, they were always behind. What Chief Williams is running into right now is every department in the state of Georgia doesn't have enough police officers. When I started law enforcement in '93, the State Patrol had a 2.5 to 3 year waiting list. They have got billboards on every interstate in the state now trying to hire people, because they are shorthanded. Nobody wants to do this job anymore.
Mhm.
And one of the things is pay. They need your support, but they need pay too. If you're a single man, you might can make it on $15, $16, $17 an hour. You ain't gonna live good, but you might live. But if you've got a family, you've got to work 2 jobs, you've got to work 3 jobs. I had to do that for a long, long time. And if you ain't done that, you don't know what that's like. When I got out of law enforcement, my mother got sick with cancer, and I had to pay her bills and my bills. I was working 2 full-time jobs as a police officer and driving a log truck at night on my days off. Sitting right here in this church, when they buried James Bryant, had his funeral over there, I sat there and heard Brother Royce Hewlett tell everybody in there, this man died on his part-time job. These men deserve better than that. One job should pay enough for you to live. You shouldn't have to work several jobs. And I'm gonna be honest with you, $18 an hour ain't gonna get you no more officers, because everybody around you's paying more. They're going there. And you can't blame them. These guys, I sat there and heard Brother Royce Hewlett tell every commissioner, every councilman sitting in the church, if you can do something about this, please do something. And I hate to say it, but it went in one ear and out the other. Nothing was ever done, and with all due respect, sir, I know you mean what you say, but it always gets lost in the shuffle. And it's sad, it really is.
It's tough.
No, thank you, sir. Thank y'all for hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is Jason Wilcox, and, you know, I understand that we are made up, Jeff Davis County or the city of Hazlehurst are made up of a lot of different departments. We all know that, and, there's two departments out of the multitudes that put their life on the line for us citizens. The police department is one and the fire department is the other. The fire department, as best I understand, is not as understaffed as the police department is. And you have to start somewhere. So, I've already given this to the officers, and that's what everybody thought it was. Clearly there was a misunderstanding, but taking it back is they said a while ago, that leaves a bad, it leaves a bad taste in everybody's mouth. As he was saying, our officers, the raise for the city of Hazlehurst, still put our officers at $5,000 annually below what others make. As the state already lags the rest of the country by 17%, possibly making our police department the lowest paid police department in the country. That's shameful. That's very shameful. And we need to do something about it. And you guys have already, $3 an hour, that's $6,240 a year.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Commissioner Bloodworth got disconnected, would you please start over? This is how they reached me.
No problem. Hey, John. Yes, sir. What I was saying was I understand that we are, our city's made up of a lot of departments. Two of those departments put their life on the line for the citizens of our town, and that's the fire department and the police department. The fire department, as far as I know, is not as understaffed as the police department is. This raise has already been promised to the police department, and I just don't see how we can go back on it now and not give it to them. Potentially, we pay our officers the least, they make the least amount of any police officer in the country, and that's shameful. $3 an hour, like I was just saying, is $6,240 a year difference. That's not a lot of money. I mean, it is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money when you take into consideration what they're doing. There's a few in here, there's several in here that are officers, but my question to the council is, would any of you go put your life on the line for $15 an hour? I know I wouldn't. Exactly. Absolutely. You're exactly right. It's a thankless job, and we want to pay them a pittance for it. You can go to Walmart and make $15 an hour. You can go to Baxley, to Hardee's. Robert Wiggins is hiring $15 an hour and paying a $600 sign-on bonus. But we don't want to pay our officers anything. It's pitiful and it's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Just leave it up there.
Shannon Davis, I was with the police department in Baxley for a number of years. I'm going to assume none of y'all are certified officers, never been on calls. Fully staffed, you have to make split-second decisions. You have to decide whether or not you're going to stay on this wreck with two officers working the wreck, or you're going to cut one loose and have them go work a domestic call, which no officer should go by themselves on a domestic call. But you have these people right now that are working, half-staffed, personnel that's not used to having to go out on the road anymore to do any kind of work, they're all having to work half-staff. If you're going to bring in new hires at a higher level pay, then it would only seem like it would be fair to bring in, to go ahead and move your other guys at least up to that pay, if nothing else. Anything less than that shows the lack of concern that you would have for your city officers out here defending y'all. But the very first time that one of your kinfolk or one of your friends gets a ticket or has something that the cops don't respond quick enough, you 5 or 6 or how many there will be the first ones that call up the chief or their patrol officers or whatever and upset with them because they couldn't get there quick enough, they didn't do something courteous enough. These guys are understaffed, underpaid, and you're asking them to make split-second decisions. And then on the back of their mind, they have to work beside someone else that's gonna be coming here at a higher pay. It's not fair. It ain't fair at all.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Okay, hearing none, I call for the vote. Signify by, well, we've got John on the phone, so it'll have to be by voice. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed to the motion?
What is the motion again?
What do we,
Mr. Attorney, read the motion again, please.
tell us what motion
Here.
is.
Mr. Ramey said, I move to amend the previously adopted motion that was passed at the April 15, 2021 meeting affecting pay raises for the police department, so that it provides that the starting salary for new hires of police officers shall be a minimum of $18 per hour and a maximum of $22 per hour, with salaries for the current police and all other city departments to be set in the next budget.
So, this motion is to amend that.
Notice that is the motion, and that amends the previous motion. What it's saying, Diane, is
It says that they don't, the tenured officers don't get their pay immediately, correct?
well, in this next month or so, the budget will be put together, and we'll, if you hire anybody above any of them during that period of time, I'm sure we're gonna be scrambling, trying to make sure that we get the equity as it should be.
So
But
if I'm in opposition to this motion, what part am I in opposition of?
You're in opposition of amending it so that, John, listen to me a minute, please, my friend. We're giving the chief in his department the authority anywhere from $18 to $22 for a new hire to get these people where they're out of all this overload and stress that all of us know that they're under. And that is what we give, and then the equity of the entire department will be handled with the budget, which should be finished in about 30 days.
Comment, too, we talk about 30 days, is one of the time that we're gonna be able to evaluate this, for everybody. And I mean everybody, all departments, goes in on the budget, thing. If it goes 30 days, if you hire a new person, how many days does it take for training, before he's a certified officer?
You don't even have a clue.
That's the reason I asked you.
That the community and the law enforcement has gone to posh. You know, I can't in good faith vote not to give the men and women who are in the foxholes, who are pressing forward and holding up the fort.
John, let me interrupt you. We had closed the discussion. You've made your appeal, and I'm appealing too, that we want to help. But the discussion is over. Half of the council has already voted. We're voting, any opposed to this amendment?
I oppose, yes, sir.
And Ms. Diana, you for or opposed?
Okay, you said that the clarification was that we would not go ahead and do anything right now.
No, ma'am, I'm giving the authority to hire new officers and put them on staff, and get on staff, it's anywhere between $18 and $22.
Not now, just the new
New
one.
hires, yeah. And then within the budget process, that, we will handle the equity for the department, for all others, but based upon their tenure and whatever is recommended for them at that time. Okay, the vote again is,
The
three on
only-
the side, and that John has voted no. How do you vote?
No,
You vote no. Okay, the vote is carried, the amendment carries, and so action will be taken, and we'll expect them to live with those circumstances and that business. Mr. Johnson, do you have a motion?
Motion may be dismissed.
Mr. Johnson made a motion that we adjourn, and second by Mr. Ramey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. particularly when we have a new election